We are controlling transmission.
So I wanted to talk about this year is important to figure out what are we creating? What do you create? What do you wish to create? So what we figure out is it's a big topic that came up is, you know, positive thinking, shalala, and how does your subconscious mind operates with that. It will also lead to a video where I will investigate on how to reset your subconscious mind to actually, like a subroutine that you set yourself up for positive results. Because let's say I do a video and I have an expectation, whatever the topic is, and my videos has, I don't know, 200 views or less, that means the outcomes do not match. Or I want to change, I talk about a certain topic, I point certain things out, but these things don't change, the outcomes don't match. That means I'm not in tune with my subconscious. The master is the subconscious. I explained that in my masterclass. It bleeds into the other videos because it's like, so right now I feel like we want clarity, we want to understand, we want to understand, we want to really see what it is that we're doing. So your question is how long can you maintain your focus? This is basic training. How long can you stay on a topic and bring it to an end? I can only use an analogy is when I had to repair radio receivers and satellite components and the motherboards, and I had a 4-week deadline. Then I started the project and I looked at the thing and I was like, oh my God, am I ever going to finish this? And then I was like, I can't entertain that thought because it weighs me down. So I was like, let's blank this out, go in kamikaze style and just do the work. And what's important is when you do your work, you have less time for complaining in the world, which I see what a lot of people do about governments, systems, what people are finding. All of this bickering about what they don't like and why they think they require to set the record straight, but they can't because the outcomes don't match, because they're not in tune with their subconscious. So we coming to, can we be kind to one another? Can we not be a threat? Can you create something where a person does not feel threatened? Can you also, I've seen that online basically is everything goes, and I wanted to explain that. The yearning for metaphysics to function and make sense needs structure right now, because it's like out of control out there. Everybody teaches anything from anywhere, fragmented. We want to look at physical outcomes. We want to look at hypothesis, and we want to look at theoretics. We want to look at the creational aspect. Also know that 7 years in your life, when you're born, you're in theta. Theta means you're in hypnosis. That means you're collecting data. Hypnosis means just blatantly collecting data, letting everything into your subconscious that's there. So our parents are basically the preset of how we come here. And then everything else unfolds according to a preset. So if you look at your life to this point is the printout of your subconscious. Everything that has happened in your life was or is a preset. And when you look at that and evaluate and you want things to change, is you have to change yourself. It begins with you getting your act together, saying, okay, today I will produce a good video with a good example, with something that I like, that is empowering, and I will enrich my viewers, and I will get my viewers to line up with me to create something positive. Now that is free, that doesn't require any money. Where the exchange comes in is if the baker bakes the bread, you know, exchange for goods always has to be respected. That's why you gotta invest in not mythological currencies, be advised. invest in what you directly can turn into resources, and resources that you can move. Nothing else is really real. So we don't have to blame governmental structures, banking system and whatnot. We do it to ourselves. The person that takes a mortgage of $2 million and he hasn't really calculated that he doesn't have $5,000 a month to pay it off has created that disaster, that they're living in a struggle, they're living above their budget, and this is what a lot of people do. You're living above your energy and your capacity. I just listened to my partner channel, the Orion Council, and they mentioned something very significant that inspires me to talk about it. It says if the central sun that works as a gateway, which is Ahau, central sun of the Milky Ways, has photonic information, and that's not magical and that's not super science, it's pretty fact. We know this, it has been proven. I'm just expanding a little bit further by creating my theory. Hope that makes sense. If not, it's just a metaphor to make sense, so take it with a grain of salt. Central sun emanates light, affects everything around it. Okay, if I turn on a light bulb in a room, everything that is in a room is affected. If I put as much as a magnet in a room, the entire room is affected. So everything has an effect on everything to a degree. If a flood comes where there's a valley and the city's in the valley, you know, if we shamanically smart enough, we can actually predict where this is going when the dam breaks. Doesn't need super science. You don't have to be Einstein to really know that 2 and 2 sometimes is 5. So what I'm saying is central sun creates a light beam that hits all the surrounding suns that are basically infused by that sun. It's like connected on a quantum level. Then you have our sun, the sun gate, and that is also connected. So this sun has UV rays, NASA has found 22 levels over the UV spectrum where stuff is going on that we can't see with the naked eye because we're not trained for it. Now here's the thing, if you are from your genetic construct have the capacity to run divine program to become a noble being for divine purpose, you will see that when you try to run, and that's the budget situation, to run 50 million programs, and many of them non-essential, you lose essential life force, your cell structure will deteriorate. It's called neurological deterioration. This is because you're not really efficiently using life force as it is given to you. So, Dr. Bruce Lipton, ex-chemist, has proven in the lab when he puts cells in a petri dish and he changes the environments, the cells are changing. It's called epigenetics, and science has shown that now. I also spoke to a guy named Doc Brannon, who is like a life coach, like on a level where he would probably teach, I think, Oprah or the players of the Lakers, where when a guy would, let's see, shoot hoops and out of 10, he'd let's say miss 8. He can activate the DNA with conscious training, imprinting the subconscious to make that guy hit 10 out of 10. But how that works is, and that is really, we can make that physical. I don't have that website at hand right now, but I've seen it. We have microbiologists that can show you when your DNA is recreating, regenerating, and being activated to create something new. That can be proven. Of course, it is not done by, you know, woo, and now you're activated. This is not really how it works. Yes, we have an influence on one another. But let's say if you're a skateboarder and you dream that in your dreams you can perform crazy maneuvers, and when you wake up you can't. Levels of gravity are different in the astral realm, and levels of gravity are different here. So how do you activate your DNA? Training. You get on the board, you physically start training, you learn the tricks on the board, you invest and see what your capacity is, you find out where your limits are, and then you know how far you can actually go. Guess what? Your DNA will reprogram itself, your subconscious will create a different paradigm because you realize different things are possible. That's physical fact. It has nothing to do with magic, it has to do with science, and that's where I come in. Too many times, and it's gives people like us sometimes a bad rep, is yeah, placebo, it's make-believe, it's suggested, every conscious thing that we can perceive is objectified according to the way our subconscious is programmed. Obviously, read a few books and you understand that. There's nothing new. For those that don't follow, like if you raised by, let's say, Roman Catholic parents that believe God is a male, and then comes the female, and the Garden Eden is the absolute story, and you're raised that. Well, in your paradigm, that's what your belief system is. Even if you want to become an atheist, guess what? You're still under the belief influence, and I'm not saying it's good or bad, I'm just saying it is. You learned Windows 97, and your parents learned Windows 97, and their parents learned Windows 97. But now is a time where your body comes into this thing where your new computer says require updates. So your suit is basically, you can say, a virtual module for the spirit to experience physical matter. Interestingly, Dr. Bruce Lipton said, you know, like spirit doesn't know what chocolate tastes like. Body knows that by neurological impulses, taste buds, nerve endings, frequencies being translated through cell structure, and then you go, this is what chocolate tastes like. And guess what? Chocolate tastes different to everyone on the planet according to their belief system. Some people would even say, I don't like the taste of chocolate, because they're associating something with that taste that forbids the taste of chocolate. So you're a victim more of your belief system and not your genes. Your genes are actually open books. And if you, let's say, were raised by a family of druids where levitation was possible, and you have witnessed and seen energetically it's not an illusion and not a trick, I have the theory that levitation, teleportation, all of these things will be possible. But I have to say, many life coaches and so-called gurus are very quick to say what bilocation and teleportation and levitation and walking through solid confinement is. We need to be very, very, very humble before we use those terms. If you haven't mastered the CD or the skill, you cannot talk about it. If you can't make anything levitate and demonstrate it over and over, you cannot talk about you can't do it, but you're not willing to show it your crew. You create a belief system, which is what religio, something that you rely on, which is promised after death. We have 470 prominent and dominant religions that say their God is the ultimate God. Use your mind. It can't be that Earth has 1,276 deities, they all claim their God. That can't be right. That is when your conscious comes in, your common sense comes in your objective thinking, and you compare. And here's how you protect yourself. Yes, you can pray to the Archangel Michael, and it might give you a euphoric feeling, but if you don't know the energy signature of an angelic elemental interface appearing in front of you, and you'd never know what it feels like, you cannot emanate that. That's the reason why right now I can't levitate. I can't walk over water. And maybe holy figures in the past did, because they had the capacity and the memory. It's as if Alice knew the way to the rabbit hole. Meaning years ago somebody tripped on mushrooms, but they can't go back there because synaptically they have forgotten the way to the realm of where the magical things take place. Magical things are, put it this way, we call it magical and wondrous and shrouded in mystery to enhance the ability of human potential, that we have a higher capacity to create things than is what we believed. Perfect example, Einstein talked about that he in his mind feels there's something within the universe that is called gravitational waves. To some people, it may, you know the story, some you don't know the story, but you have to see how that is for pioneers. So he was laughed at. This is garbage, this doesn't exist, you know, there's no proof, you have this idea and a few formulas that doesn't prove anything. Well, fact is, a theory doesn't prove nothing. But last year, through experimentation and leaning on what Einstein has mentioned, we have found gravitational waves. So I say to the human race, do not belittle yourself so much. Believe there are greater potentials, greater possibilities in things that we haven't found yet. And I say this over and over again. Science does not, to put it this way, the universe doesn't require science to find out what is. Gravitational waves existed for probably for billions of years, and now we are just coming out of the crude and rudimentary instrumentation finding, oh, this is how you find them. I'll say this, and I rarely make prophecies, but I'll predict this, that at some point we will develop cameras that will show something like what we call ghosts, or a ghostly image. Some people say ghosts are a fabrication of the mind. The fabrication of the mind stops there when 10 or more people can experience the same phenomenon. I've watched Paranormal Witness on Amazon, very interesting, is where, let's say you have a police case, and I'm just wanting to give that to you to see the potential. And you and your officer, you know, one witness report that doesn't talk to nobody, older guy, has seen a car at the scene, a green car, and you as a police officer, 30 years experience, and you have seen the car of the victim. And your friend tells you he knows a psychic and she wants to talk to you. And that psychic draws out the car, hasn't seen the car, and draws out the green car. They'll, without telling the psychic, they put her in the car, and it was to friend relations. This is a true story. And the eyewitnesses have been interviewed. It's on television, so it's official. And you can't debunk that. The lady knew where the victim was killed, knew details about the murder that nobody could have known, that like impossible. And that is where I believe that, I resonate with that. She also tried to figure out who the killer was and said that she had the capacity to go to the place where it happened, and I'll explain to you in a minute why I believe that has to be and must be possible. I'm a tech also, from a technical point of view and from energy. When we say energy, as in vibration, it doesn't dissipate really, or doesn't get lost somewhere out there. Energy has a way of being stored or memorized by nature. We call it Akashic records. If you're smart, you can read stuff that'll blow your mind. So that lady went to another place where another victim was taken and died, and she described how the victim died, the last words of the victim, and then she said she could scry, as in she can dimensionally look in what had happened, seeing the car pass. And she said she had to loop it, and she got almost sick getting into that looping it over and over and over. And I find this super interesting, that we should investigate really and allow ourselves that we're a little bit more than primates, okay? There's a little bit more going on. And she could see the car, and she could see the guy passing her, and he looks at her as if eyes had locked. And then she describes what the guy looks like. He's skinny, facial description, and they do a schematic on the guy. And then they go to a precinct where they had another case where a guy had a routine checkup with a cop, and the guy who was pulled over was the murderer. And she said, that's your guy. And they're like, okay, well, the officer is off duty, we can't contact the guy. Do you have anything more? And then she goes into what the officer has seen, and she picks out the first bits and pieces of the first and last name of the guy. And that enabled the police, at the end of the day, there's also a plot to the case, which is very, very phenomenal what happens in the end. They find the killer, and they lock the dude up for life, case solved. So if you have something like a positive outcome that brings forth a result that helps to heal, I shall not question it. I shall not assume or dabble around. Some people have an idea or intuition that comes from nature. We lost that because you can say we're domesticated pets now. We used to be wolves, and some of us, are sorry to say, are chihuahuas or pit bulls. We're just genetically modified to, you know, who the heck are we? But the core of your cell has an ancient system that can be activated if you can get into reprogramming your subconscious. And the trick is what the old Vedas knew, with the Siddhis and the powers and the blind that could see, is that you have dormant stuff in your DNA, that we have the junk DNA, but we don't have the capacity to read the DNA yet. At some point, You know, there's shamans in Tibet that sit in the mountains where they say that the DNA unfolds or unravels like a book, and those who have the capacity to see can see what is, and then according to what is, you can actually design your life according to Creator, or whatever you want to call it, Allah or Viraskocha or Jesus, or whatever your belief template is, as long as this path of your belief system is not an absolute, allows all other belief system, and goes in two different directions where we all can help each other. Meaning, like, you have your garden, your neighbor doesn't have strawberries, and he asks if you have seeds to share. I say share your seeds, plant your seeds, and you both have strawberries. And you sell your goods, exchange has to be respected. You inhale essential, you exhale non-essential, carbon monoxide. The universe always works in exchange. And that we have to bank on, that we have to trust. And with this energy report is reflect on within. Do not find the distraction with the outside, and sometimes do nothing. Be at home, maybe cook something, be satisfied, and also know, let's say you're watching TV and eating food. All the information that the TV is projecting goes into your food, and you're programming your food basically, and you're eating that. If you have a negative topic you want to share and you talk into your food while you're eating with all that negativity, guess what you're doing to the cell structure of your food? You're programming yourself double, triple, quadruple times into that topic that you're entertaining. And one thing is, we have to understand, it is good to process and sympathize with the process, but do not turn it into a folklore that is an enchanted ball of negative entertainment that never stops, because you'll become that, and then you wonder why negative outcomes and results that do not match make your life difficult. You are your own Magi, you are your own Jedi, you are your own creator. You are part of a co-creational business, and that's why you came to this planet, to learn that. And once you go back, then you know the original energy of a pharaoh was like, if you can make it rain, you can make it rain now. If you can bring positive attitudes to people, you can do that now. If somebody has problems with electrical appliances in their kitchen, and you come there and you fix all of them, that's the basic level, and all of it works, you make magic happen now. Somebody has problems with their car, you sit in the car and the car comes on. The person sits in the car, doesn't come on. You switch again, you do it again, the car comes on. Positive attitude influences magnetically and electrically the environment around you. You always have an influence on things that work. I had an example where an old friend of mine tried to record a camera for YouTube. He was mad and he was pissed and he was cursing, and he went really out of control, really hurtful. Well, after 5 minutes the camera fried. No one knows why. Well, I know why. Some of your choices and the level of nobility that you represent is reflected to you immediately. And if you create ruckus, ruckus is reflected to you. If you repeat negativity, you'll have negativity reflected to you. If you do the positive, negativity won't hold. People may try, and I've seen this online also, perpetrators may try to reflect negative things to the person that does the good job, but you have no endurance. You will run out of steam because it's deteriorating and it's killing life force. Like, the cells literally go into kill mode. So if you have a negative attitude towards life, you age twice as fast. Science has proven that. Look at the cells, and then you play TV, and all you play is war, and the president this, and Homeland Security that. Nothing but negative stuff from all four angles. The petri dish will die. So you want to know about how the human race is basically slowly being, created a level to going extinct? Well, if you see nothing but murder mayhem online, and we have to stop it, even in the big cities, we have an overreactive immune system. That's why in the major cities we have all of this stuff going on. And those that heal will first of all move away from the areas that are inflamed. Then create things and modalities where other particles in the inflamed areas, major cities would be kind of the inflamed areas, begin to heal. And that takes time. It's not going to take place miraculously overnight. But at some point, we'll have magnetic cars, we will have hovercrafts, whether it's propeller or anti-gravity. People laugh over anti-gravity. At some point, this will be as common as an iPad or a digital camera that can record 35mm optics like a freaking movie camera that was $500,000. We are the miracle makers. We create this. You know, Jules Verne wrote 150 years ago that we will travel to the moon and the gravity would be different. Would you think that we're just pulling that out of our so-created fantasy, and then by coincidence 150 years later NASA's experience matches actually that what Jules Verne wrote? No. We kind of know where things going. Everybody is psychic. Know that you create your world, you control your world, learn how to modulate, and be that super Jedi, be that Magnus, be the magnificent Magi that creates a wonderful world, not being ignorant, but being positive and being focused and holding the focus to what is that you're put here on this planet to create. And the first intention for the angels that came here, whether they're fallen or they're descended or ascended or whatever label you want to slap on it, the first intention of nature is love, creation, exploration, expansion. And we go back to the golden and holy scripts and the original scripts. If you want to go even deeper, study the Vedas, then you know what you're here to do. And when I don't have to talk anymore, then enough of you are doing the job. On that note, I'll see you most certainly on the flip side. Live long and prosper. Peace.